We here live. Good morning, all. Today I'm thrilled to just start this session, and I'm really thankful to get this opportunity of introducing our proud Army personnel to just start this session, to be the panelist of this session. We have among us Lieutenant General retired Shakti Gurung. Sir, are you here, please? Okay. Here I remember the quote of Field Marshal Manik Shah. He said, if a man says he is not afraid of dying, either he is lying or he is Gorkha. We have a Gorkha among us, it's Lieutenant General Shakti Gurung, who's been awarded 4 presidential awards: Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, and Vishisht Seva Medal. He joined Indian Army. Here we have NCC cadets with us. Can I just listen the NCC applaud for Sir being joined on the chair? Yes, please give him a huge round of applause. Sir joined NDA in 1971. After that, he joined IMA and passed from there in 1975. During his career, he received awards, but I have mentioned. Lieutenant General Gurung had held important commands and staff. He is appointed in Indian Army and also served abroad as Army attachment. He finally retired as military secretary from Army headquarters in October 2014. Please welcome Sir on the dais. Good morning, sir. Welcome, sir. Next in round, we have Lieutenant General P.J.S. Panu. He is awarded with Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, and Vishisht Seva Medal. He is former Deputy Chief, Indian Integrated Defense Staff Cooperation, which is responsible for coordinating military operations of 3 services. He was responsible for raising defense space and cyber agencies, as well as the Special Force Division. He commanded 14 corps in Ladakh in 2016 and 17, and in Infantry Division at the McMahon Line in Arunachal Pradesh in 2013 and 14. He commanded Uri Brigade in 2008 and 2010. He served 3 tenures in military operation, Directorate and Army headquarters, and on 2 United Nations mission at Mozambique and at Sudan, both as Chief Operations Officer. He has been chairman of National War Memorial. He is the head of Military History and Strategy, Vertical, and he is also member of Board of Valley of Wards Foundations. Please welcome Sir Panu, sir. Welcome, sir. It is said that if you want to know how to deal with death, it is said that if you want to know how to deal with death, join Indian Army. These are the heroes who just are standing there in front of death. Today we have with us Veer Chakra awardee Brigadier J.N.S. Rawat. Sir, are you here, please? Oh, sir. Welcome, sir. Veer Chakra is an Indian wartime military award. That's why I said how to face death in front, standing right in front of you. Veer Chakra is Indian wartime military award presented for acts of conspicuous gallantry in the presence of an enemy on the battlefield. And it is the 3rd most prestigious award that comes after Paramveer Chakra and Mahavir Chakra. It is an honor to welcome Sir, Brigadier J.N.S. Bisht. He belongs to 1 Maratha Light Infantry who has showed gallantry and leadership of high order in that operation. He was there in the Operation Savage at Sikkim, for which he was awarded this award of Mahavir Chakra. Please welcome NCC cadets. Yes. It should be felt that NCC cadets are here. It's not just your hackles and your caps. It's your NCC claps which are required here. Please give a huge round of applause for all these. Now we have among us Colonel D.P.K. Pillai. Pillai sir, please take your seat. Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you, sir. He has seen action in several distributed areas of country. He earned a Shaurya Chakra for gallantry beyond the call of duty in Tamenglong, Manipur, where he is remembered for his evacuation of wounded children despite having himself received life-threatening injuries. He was educated at Bangalore Military School in Bangalore and went on to join NDA in 1988. He served in National Defense Council Secretariat and is now a research fellow at the Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis. Colonel Pillai has had several assignments in his 29 years of majestic career. In Indian Army in 2006, he was selected as planning officer in Planning and International Cooperation Ministry of Defense. Being in Ministry of Secretariat, he handled issues ranging from defense planning and strategy. The list of his services is so long that it will take a lot of time if I start discussing all these. He has also represented India at various international forums. Now, I would like to say one more quote. If you want to know how to deal with life, just join Indian Army. Just join Indian Forces. Now, I would like all of you, please, General Pannu sir, to take on the charge of the panel discussion, and these heroes will show you how to deal with death and how to deal with life. Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Archana, for speaking about the Indian Army and bringing to fore the valor of an Indian soldier. Of course, she has introduced all of us. She started with General Gurung, and then she spoke about Brigadier Bisht. She also spoke about Colonel Pillai. And of course, I'm standing here as the head of the Military History and Strategy of Valley of Words. And I feel really, the blood boils in me when I see a Gurkha soldier who actually has served 3 generations himself and has lost the 4th generation. And please welcome Brigadier Gurung from 3-4 Gurkha Rifles, who's here amidst us. Sir, please join us on the floor. This is a family of Veer Bhumi, Karam Bhumi combined, who actually went to war 3 generations himself, and he lost his son in operations. Again, 3-4 GR, that is the lineage that Brigadier Gurung has. Just before this session of ours, where we talk about the military history and the glory of the Indian Army, the stage was already set on fire by Iti Nritya. And I was sitting there and seeing the Tandav, the eyes communicating. I saw this is India on the move. It is a demonstration of a culture, a power of a culture, soft power that our nation has. But inside the dance performances, we found there were performers who had Sharir of Fawlad. That was the power of India, where a soft power also communicates in a very subtle manner the hard power. Thank you very much for the performance before this. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to come on this stage, which has been so beautifully led and brought to us a glory of the past, of a culture. We are all sitting here in Uttarakhand, and I spoke about the land of Karam Bhumi and Veer Bhumi. Also, we have border with China. That is also a Ran Bhumi. This is a combination of all this. We were all trained here in the Indian Military Academy. I passed out in the year 1980. At that time, most of our instructors, who were Havaldars, who were Subedars, they were our gurus. They used to tell us inspiring stories of 1971 war and would train us on the scout posts. And we realized that these are the men that we are going to command who are our gurus. So we became Guru Chela, and then ultimately when we joined the Indian military, In our units, we found that same JCOs and same Havaldars saluted us and expected us leadership on them. They taught us leadership, and then we became the leaders. Now that was the communication that started at the Indian Military Academy on the drill square. We had Subedar Swami from the Corps of Engineers. We had Havaldar Rawat from the Garhwals. We had number of them from varying regiments who came and taught us how to fight and how to collaborate and how to win hearts and then win battles. So we win hearts of each other, we come together as Indians and go to war together. So we are all military family. And I will talk about the military family connect a little later. I was also given an opportunity to build the National War Memorial. National War Memorial, 40 acres of built-up area, 167 crores were spent on it, but that is not the figures that I'm talking about. The National War Memorial at that time had 26,925 soldiers who had laid down their lives, and every brick written in gold was dedicated to every soldier who lost life for the Raksha of the nation after 1947. ये पुरानी अंग्रेजों की लड़ाई नहीं थी. तकरीबन 27,000 शहीद जो हमारे इंडिपेंडेंट भारत को बचाने के लिए शहीद हुए, उनके नाम स्वर्ण अक्षरों में लिखे हैं इन द नेशनल वॉर मेमोरियल. जब हम यहां से परेड करके जाते हैं तो हमारा एक अंतिम पग होता है, और उस अंतिम पद पे ऊपर लिखा है, the safety, honor and welfare of your country comes first, always and every time. The honor, welfare and comfort of your men you command come next. Your own ease, comfort, safety come last, always and every time. That is how this Indian Army has been built. On commissioning, we adopt the way of life and faith of our men, the men you command. If somebody asks me, where are you from? I really wonder what the question is, but my spontaneous answer is, I'm from the Maratha Light Infantry. 40 years are spent in the Maratha Light Infantry. And then you know the valor of what you knew otherwise is there exactly the same way. Marda aami marathe khare, dushmanala bhare kaapre, desh raksha vaya, dharm tara vaya, kaun jhunjat mange sare. We go to the battlefield for raksha of a desh, for raksha of a dharm, and our dharm is not exactly the dharm that we understand. Our dharm is dharm of a men that I spoke from the Chetwood motto of our men before us and our nation ahead of everything else. When you talk about men who you lead to the battle, Guru Gobind Singh said, "Inhi ki kripa se saje hum hain, nahi moh se gareeb crore bhade." There are crores of people. I'm a leader because inhi ki kripa se hum leader hain inke. Because they are the ones who trained us, they are the ones who inspire us, and because of them we go to war and we win. De shiva var mohe hai, shubh karmante kab ho na daru. Na daru aur so jab jaye ladu, nischay kar apni jeet karu. We fight to win. India has been at war ever since it became independent. Of course, partition is another story. 47, 48, Indian Army went to war, and that is how we celebrate on 29th of October every year, the Infantry Day. 1961, we liberated Goa. 1962, we fought against the Chinese, and that defeat is something that we will talk about. 1965, against Pakistan. 1971, the world noticed we taking surrender of 90,000 prisoners of war of Pakistan and liberating a country called Bangladesh. In 1984, we went and captured Siachen Glacier. 99, we fought in Kargil. Then we fought in Sri Lanka. We had an operation in Maldives, which was success with the world notice. We have actually demonstrated valor in the UN missions. Siachen Glacier is the highest battlefield of the world where we still fight, and we will talk about it. Somdrongchu is somewhere where our troops were now standing at a point that Chinese can no more say that 1962 is going to be repeated. Then we had Oparakram, 2611. Then we had ambush in Manipur. Following that, we had an attack in Uri. Then we went to surgical strikes. then Pulwama, Balakot, and ultimately Galwan. That is where our soldiers are now facing the Chinese at super high altitude. The best soldiers have met the Chinese and they have understood what the Indian metal is all about when they suffered huge amount of casualties at Galwan. जब हम गलवान के बारे में सोचते हैं तो 1962 में 5 जाट fought there. हमने देखा पुरानी कहानियों के अंदर हमने एक पिक्चर देखी थी हकीकत. हकीकत is actually made on the 5 जाट operation at गलवान. और वहाँ से हमें पता चलता है कि हमारी सभ्यता क्या है. आज की तारीख में भी हमारे there are 54 prisoners of war which are still languishing in Pakistani jails. We have no idea where they are. After we have returned 92,000, look at what we did not wait for our prisoners to be returned, but we were very charitable to Pakistan. We returned 92,000 prisoners of war. Today we have challenges. We have challenges of nuclear war, biological war. We just fought Corona. There's something called radiological. We have got cyber, space, all hybrid. We are ready for a two-front war. We are also tech warriors. Those who say that our children did not join the army, but if they are in technology, they are going to be tech warriors. But at the end of it, again, coming back to the value of words, we last year dedicated Marigold for the valor of our soldiers, and at that time I was reminded of a kavita written by Makhanlal Chaturvedi. Naam hai surbala ke gehnon mein gunda chaun. So he चाह नहीं, because a flower doesn't want to be pushed around here and there for any other decorative purposes. मुझे तोड़ लेना वनमाली, उस पथ पर देना फेंक, तुम देना फेंक, मातृभूमि पे शीश चढ़ाने जिस पथ पे जाएं वीर अनेक. This is the desire of a flower. And when we stand here today, I have the galaxy of war veterans. I have galaxy of veterans who are going to actually talk to us today. We have General Shakti Gurung, who was my co-commander. He commanded the brigade in the same area that I commanded the brigade. He was my corps commander in 4 Corps when we were deployed opposite China. Then ultimately, you find that a person who we say he's a Gurkha or he's by such and such name, I said, we don't have names, we just have a regiment. So he got commissioned in 15 grenadiers, commanded 21 grenadiers. His son is commanding, he commanded 21 grenadiers, and he himself is 3rd generation, going 4th generation because his son joined the army. He's going to be talking to us about ये war की क्या महत्वता है? Why do we fight a war? What do we achieve? What is valor all about? Can anybody join the army and serve the country? We are going to be talking about largely national security, hypothesis, and how in reality you see it unfolding. Then we have Brigadier P.S. Gurung. I spoke 3rd generation himself, and then again he had his son, Lieutenant Gautam Gurung. On 5th of August 1998, his son actually laid down his life and was decorated with Sena Medal. Colonel Pillai, Shaurya Chakra, got commissioned in 4 Guards, later on in 8 Guards where he got awarded. He will talk about how he fought his operations by himself. And then we will have Brigadier Bisht. Of course, Brigadier Bisht I will ask him to speak before him. Got commissioned in 1st Maratha Light Infantry, same regiment that I am from, Maratha Light Infantry. And he's been decorated with Veer Chakra in Sri Lanka on a daylight operation, and he will talk about it. And I connected with Colonel Pillai that when we had ambush by the PLA in Manipur a couple of years back, and we had a surgical strike across Myanmar where General Gurung was also a defense attaché. So we are all interconnected. He is my GOC. He commanded the same brigade where I commanded. Brigadier Gurung is his instructor from here where he learnt warfare from. He is my boss. Bisht is from my regiment. And Pillai and me go back together to 4 Guards. And of course, all of us are connected from generations of warfare. I will now not stand between me and General Shakti Gurung. May I request General Gurung to please, either you would like to speak from there or would you like to come here, sir? May I request you to please come here and tell us your part of how you understand warfare, why nations go to war, and what is in India that we strong we stand so strong as winners of people and winners of war. Thank you. General Gurung, sir, please.
Thank you, General Pannu. A very, very motivational talk, very, very motivational introduction to the whole session. Now, this session, I was told, is basically, or was basically meant for motivating the youth, and that's why it's been termed as grit, valor, and determination or courage. So I'll try and stick my level to that level. That is the level of the youth. That is the youth who are presently sitting at the back. May I request all of you to come a little ahead so that you can listen to, or at least try and focus your attention onto the stage. You know what General Pannu has asked me is about national security. National security, to my mind, and in simplest of words, as it suggests, is making your nation secure. You know, there are various factors that come into this. One of the factors, of course, is defense. Besides defense, you have economy. You have your industrial base. You have your agricultural base. You have the various kinds of communities. The different communities that are spread all over India. That is also what makes the country very, very strong and secure. Now, national security, to my mind, is related directly to the comprehensive national power. Comprehensive national power is basically the power that is projected by our country internationally, in front of the other nations, in front of your neighbors. And to my understanding, defense is a very, very important element of the comprehensive national power. Without defense, you will not be able to project yourself correctly within the neighborhood. You will not be able to project yourself correctly internationally, that is globally. Therefore, it becomes a very essential element of national power. Now, when we talk of national security, we are very fortunate to be surrounded by a number of neighbors. On our west, we have Pakistan. In the north, we have the Chinese, that is Tibet, China, and then China. And to the south, we have Sri Lanka. And then further east, we have Nepal. We have the Chinese who are penetrating deep into the Chumbi Valley, opposite Doklam. And we have Bhutan, we have Bangladesh, and we have Myanmar. So we as a country, we are very, very fortunate to have so many neighbors. It helps in building our national security. It also poses dangers to our national security, which have to be dealt with very, very carefully. Now, when we talk of a comprehensive national power, we have to develop our comprehensive national power on all fronts. Like I mentioned, one of them being defense. Defense, as I see, is a very, very important, very, very essential element. Unless you are a potent force, unless you have the capability to project yourself across your borders, unless you have the capability to defend your territory, to defend your sovereignty, that is the sovereignty of the country, you will not be considered a very, very reliable and a potent force in the region. Therefore, you have to develop your defense capabilities. Now, defense capabilities in today's world comprises of various aspects. It comprises of modern technology, it comprises of your nuclear deterrent, and it comprises of other facets of military diplomacy. When you talk of military diplomacy, it means as to how you try and rope in your neighbors as well as countries in the strategic neighborhood into a diplomatic kind of a bond and friendship with your country. That is very, very important. And unless these aspects are taken care of, national security would get compromised. National security, to my mind, would also include your internal security. We are all aware as to what the country is facing. Whether it's in J&K or whether it's in the Northeast. In J&K, we have a peculiar kind of a warfare which we call the proxy war or anti-militancy, while in the Northeast we have an insurgent kind of a warfare that's going on. These two are entirely different. Insurgency basically means a warfare that is developed by your own citizens who are demanding certain constitutional rights. certain separation rights, whereas proxy war implies a war that is thrust upon you by a neighbor. Similarly, we have recently faced Galwan, that is Ladakh, from the Chinese. Like General Panu just mentioned, we have faced Galwan with full might, with our full josh. So all this, in essence, builds up your national security and a comprehensive national power. I'll think, due to paucity of time, I think I'll leave it at that, and I'll hand you over back to General Panu. And I'll hand you back to General Panu to take on the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me behind? Yeah, okay. Thank you, General Gurung. You've given an overview on national security and how India is looking at, in very various directions, fighting our enemies, fighting our adversaries on day-to-day basis. And that is how today we are sitting here at peace and celebrating diversity. We all celebrate diversity, and we are just speaking about it. Now, here I have 3 war veterans sitting on my left. And 3 of them have got different experiences. First, I'm going to be talking about in 1984, Indian Army preempted Pakistan and we captured Siachen Glacier. Siachen Glacier is the highest battlefield in the world. Now, the way you actually fight in mountains is you must dominate the passes. During the invasion of India, Hindu Kush ranges are the ones which were Parvat ho sabse ucha wo Santari hamara. That was breached through passes like Khyber Pass. So passes are very important. So when we captured Siachen Glacier, we decided we will go and occupy 2 passes, Sia and Bilafondla. Brigadier Gurung, who I introduced you as 3rd generation in 3-4GR, went in for an operation in Bilafondla in the year 1987. And he will tell you what is Siachen Glacier, importance of Bilafondla, and how the operations were fought there. Brigadier Gurung, please.
Hello. Technical. Good morning. Can you all hear me? Today, I'm going to speak to you now that the generals have already given you the introduction and told you the complete scenario of the Indian Army and the warfare. I'm going to limit myself only to this particular operation. Now, before I go on to the operation, there are certain things I would like to just explain to you so that you connect up with the operation. Like I've been meeting so many people and talking to them. When I speak to them about line of control, international border, they're clueless. And they would be, because they have not been taught about all these things. So just briefly, because we've got a very limited time, 47, independence, international border was drawn. The primary aim of that was because the Mr. Jinnah and the Muslim League, they wanted separate country of Muslims. Pakistan was created, India was created. Now, in that also they had problems. All those places, all those Rajya or states having majority of Muslims were Pakistan, and similarly the other side was India. But there were certain pockets which had different ratios, but in different areas, not on the border. That is like Goa, your Hyderabad, Saurashtra, and of course JNK. JNK, they had a large number of Muslims, density was better than Indian, but the king ever since was Indian, Raja Hari Singh. So when this was drawn, Raja Hari Singh kept aloof. They were given a choice, if you don't want to join India or Pakistan, be alone. as a neutral country when he signed for that or opted for that. Now the Pakistanis in that general area, the locals as Razakars aided by the Pakistani troops came and wanted to capture J&K. And that is the time Raja Hari Singh came to Delhi, went to Delhi and signed the papers to join India. And thereafter, the Indian troops were sent, and our first battle, India's first battle started there, where Somnath Sharma from Kumaon Regiment got his Paramveer Chakra. They pushed them back, but then intervention took place. They went to the UN, and the decision was given, wherever you are, ceasefire. So that was called the ceasefire line, and thereafter the line upwards was the line of actual control or line of control, LOC. Now this line on ground was visible because the troops were there. But north of Kargil, it was inhospitable area, high mountains with snow and no habitation. So nobody could go there. So they took an imaginary line or line on map, that is NJ 9842, from there along the Saltoro range, which goes to right up to Siala, and thereafter joins the Hindu Kush ranges. That line was taken as the line of control. That was way back in 1663. Now, what happened was that, thereafter, there has been a lot of incursions into Indian Army, into our area of line of control. Now, you must understand two things. One, line of control and international border. How are they different? International border is been patrolled by or looked after by the police forces, that is the border security force and others. Whereas the line of control is actually you are there fighting at the line of control. Any incursion there is something like attack on a different country. So that is why there are no incursions. So this being the crux, I will go a little further ahead, that my unit was located in Ladakh, and I was in the northernmost area, Demchok. The Chinese border was across us, so we were building our defenses, completed. I was on short leave, recalled, because the battalion was to move immediately, that is 72 hours notice, onto the glacier. Now, the idea behind this is that in 1987, in March, when the snow was melting, they put in a platoon of the SSGs. SSGs are something like our commandos, para commandos, special forces, or NSG, whatever you call them. They went and captured the left shoulder of the Bila Pass, Bila Fondla Pass. Now, that area gives you the complete observation of the your Siachen Glacier, which comes from Siala along the northern of this mountain range. Now, this particular area dominates the headquarter, all gun areas and our routes. So it was very important. Now that gave a little, things to talk about to Benazir Bhutto, and she was very elated, and she named that post, which is on top of the Sonam post. But during this speech, I will not be naming the post and all, because unlike any other operation खत्म हुआ, उसका इतिहास लिख दिया, फिर उसका प्लस माइनस करो, ये होता है, but not in the line of control, because it is still live. You cannot say ये पोस्ट यहाँ था, उसने हमला किया, because that Tomorrow he may make use of this information. That is why I'm not going to name the posts. Now, in this, when their special group people captured that, now in June 87, the unit which was there, they were told to throw them out. So that was Operation Bana. Now that Operation Bana, you all would have heard about Bana, Naib Subhadar Bana of 8 Jekyll Eye, who got the Paramveer Chakra. Initially it was not announced because any operation on the line of control is not taken as an operation. It is just the skirmishes. So thereafter, the loss of face of Benazir forced her to take an action, immediate action, and he selected their most elite brigade, being commanded by now General or President Musharraf. That time he was a brigade commander. So he brought in his, moved his brigade towards the operation. Now, at this point of time, our battalion, which was due to move out from the Ladakh sector, were forced to move on to the glacier. जब मैं वहाँ पे पहुँचा, they were training. The battalion was training. I didn't know क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है, because in 72 hours, when the battalion moved to glacier, they were being trained. Nothing was told to me. When I reached there, then I got to know what actually is happening. Still, they didn't know why our battalion was brought there post haste. When we started our going up, that was on 1st September, when we started moving, of course, the Gola Bari and firing across the thing is on throughout the year there. उस समय मेरे को कोर कमांडर, डिव कमांडर उन्होंने बुलाया और कहा कि भाई आपको यहाँ पे एक पोस्ट है, HMG पोस्ट, दुश्मन की तरह, पाकिस्तान की तरह, उसको कैप्चर करना है. So that task was given to me जब हमारे लोग ऊपर चढ़ रहे थे. So I reorganized the whole thing. On 18th September onwards, heavy firing all along the glacier started off. 20th, I gave out my final orders and we were prepared for our operation. 25th was the date given to me as my D-Day. On that I was to launch. But unfortunate for Pakistan and fortunate for me, on 23rd night we saw heavy movement and thereafter they started coming up, and that is the time we concluded that now he is going to show his hand, and he attacked us on 23rd, 24th night. We were ready for him. उसके बाद ये घमासान युद्ध होता रहा. उसको चढ़ के आना था, मुश्किल था. फिर भी वो ब्रिगेडियर मुशर्रफ एक फ्रेश बटालियन और 2 कंपनी SSG लेकर के आए थे, और हमारे ऑन द राइट शोल्डर वाज अशोक एंड यूकट. यहाँ पे एक प्लाटून ही थी, और जब वो आए उसके बाद हमने उनका पहला जो अटैक था उसको रोक दिया. सुबह हो गई, काफ़ी कैजुअल्टीज हुए, चले गए. नेक्स्ट जब वो आए तब दूसरे दिन भी आए, पर हमें रीइंफोर्समेंट करने में और एमुनिशन को रिप्लेनिश करने में बहुत टाइम लगा, क्योंकि वो एयर बर्स्ट कर रहे थे. सो इसीलिए थोड़ा हमारा कैजुअल्टी भी हुआ, पर हम रेडी हो गए. अभी जब दोबारा उन्होंने हमला किया तो हम उसके लिए तैयार थे. We had certain casualties, but we pushed them back, and that was the end of the operation. अभी इसमें 1-2 चीज़ें मैं बताना चाहता हूँ. ये तो नॉर्मल ऑपरेशन हुआ. ग्लेशियर में कंडीशंस क्या हैं? हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड ठीक है, ऑल्टीट्यूड तो सब जगह है, it was above super high altitude. It is known as super high altitude because जो बाना पोस्ट है या जो उसके नीचे जहाँ से उसकी एडम जाती है वो 19,000 फीट में है और कुमार पोस्ट वो अराउंड 16 to 18,000 फीट में है. जो बिला फोंडला है वो अराउंड 18,000 फीट में है. 18,000 फीट में इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि वहाँ पे जितना ऊपर जाओ एटमॉस्फेयर रेरिफाइड हो जाता है, टेम्परेचर कम हो जाता है. तो इसीलिए ये सब प्रॉब्लम होती हैं ग्लेशियर में. तो मैं अभी इतना ही बोल के यहाँ एक बात मैं बताना चाहता हूँ मोटिवेशनल लेवल के लिए. जब हमारे ऊपर हमला हुआ लास्ट स्टेजेस में, जब हमला हुआ उस समय हमारे पास ट्रुप बिल्कुल जख्मी हो गए थे और बहुत कम आदमी थे और वो लोग 100 यार्ड्स तक पहुंच गए थे. तो उस समय मैंने उनको एक गन से, एंटी एयरक्राफ्ट गन से उसके ऊपर फायर, SOS फायर दिलवाया और कंपनी कमांडर ने एक शाउट दिया, आयो गुरखाली. आयो गुरखाली बेसिकली हमारा होता है हमला करने के लिए. तो एक जवान वो अपना खुखरी निकाल के बाहर निकला और उसने 3 दुश्मन के सिर काट दिए. वो देखा देखी एक MMG वाला उठा, उसने वो भी जख्मी था, हाथ में उसने MMG उठाया और बर्स्ट फायर किया. पीछे से एक गन का फायर, आगे से आयो गुरखाली हो गया तो वो टिक नहीं पाए और गए. तो कहने का मतलब कि ऐसे समय इनका अगर ऐसा उनको मालूम था कि अब हम बाहर से निकलेंगे हम बचेंगे नहीं बचे, पोस्टमस हैं. एक को दोनों को MPC मिला. तो ये हर एक आदमी में ऐसा दृढ़ संकल्प होना चाहिए कि हम अपने देश के लिए, अपनी मातृभूमि के लिए लड़ें. जुनून होना चाहिए. That's what the general is saying and that is what I just would like to conclude. Thank you, gentlemen.
थैंक यू ब्रिगेडियर गुरुंग. आयो गुरखाली, और आपने देखा कि वहाँ पे एक गुरखा पलटन 34GR ने पाकिस्तानियों के धड़ उतार दिए. तो उसी टाइम पे ब्रिगेडियर PS गुरुंग को YSM युद्ध सेवा मेडल से सुशोभित किया गया. और मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि जनरल शक्ति गुरुंग जो 4 कोर कमांड कर रहे थे, इनको उत्तम युद्ध सेवा मेडल भी मिला हुआ है. और ये जो पीस टाइम में हम लड़ाई लड़ते हैं इसको हम पीस टाइम बोलते हैं. ये पीस टाइम है नहीं है, वैसे ये है तो युद्ध का समय है. मैं उसी टाइम पे जब 1987 में 84 से 87 ये जब सियाचिन ग्लेशियर की लड़ाई चल रही थी, उसको ऑप मेघदूत बोलते थे. उसी टाइम पे इंडियन आर्मी तकरीबन 3000 किलोमीटर दूर हाईएस्ट बैटलफील्ड को छोड़ते हुए इंडियन आर्मी को बिल्कुल जीरो लेवल पे, मीन सी लेवल पे भेज दिया गया श्रीलंका के ऑपरेशंस में. और फर्स्ट मराठा लाइट इन्फेंट्री एक बहुत आगे पहले शुरू में ही फेंक दी गई. और आपको बताएंगे ब्रिगेडियर JNS बिष्ट, जिनको वहां पे वीर चक्र मिला है, कि इन्होंने LTT ऑपरेशंस के साथ श्रीलंका में क्या काम किया. लड़ाई सियाचिन ग्लेशियर में भी हो रही है और लड़ाई श्रीलंका में भी हो रही है. अभी आप सुनिए श्रीलंका में क्या हुआ. ब्रिगेडियर बिष्ट.
Thank you, sir. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. अभी हमें बताया गया था कि lot of students in Dehradun are motivated to join Indian Army. As General Gurung told us that there are 14 academies running in Dehradun to motivate and train the students to join Indian Army. As I can see, you all are wearing the NCC uniform. That means you are totally motivated. But you must know one thing, that Indian Army is the best profession in this world, which caters for your 3 hot meals, whether in war or whether in peace. And Indian Army differs from the rest of the armies that हम दुश्मन को घुस के मारते हैं अंदर, and we never leave our casualties or our योद्धाज to fall prey in enemy hands. हम अपने शहीदों को वापस लेके आते हैं. That's the difference between us and rest of the army. So as General Saab said, we moved to Sri Lanka. I was the first officer to be landed in Sri Lanka and then to Jaffna Fort. And fortunately or fortunately, I was wearing only one uniform. In that I went, recently married almost 10-20 days back. So we never thought we'll go like that. But one day we have been told to move. And when we reached mid-sea, that's the time the envelope was opened in which it was written we were going to Trincomalee. We have been now told to go to Jaffna and Turai. That's a different story. I'll come to this operation. There is no paucity of time. I had gone out of my company to neighboring battalion for 48-hour operation, search and cordon operation, almost 20 kilometers far from us. That's on 20th of April 89. Early morning, I was dreaming that I was having a fight, hand-to-hand fight with Prabhakaran, and I killed him. I captured his both the weapons. That's the morning, 3 o'clock, we have been told to move back. I was apprehending in my mind, ki should I go back or not? But order is order. We came back to our post, totally tired, not feeling well also, and not taken bath since last 3-4 days. The first thing I did, took my bath, and I was relaxing, going through my documentation and letter which I have received. That's the time my Tamil interpreter came and said, ki sir, security wala aaya hai. Security means informer aaya hua hai. I said, hell with him. I'm totally tired. Let him go. I'm going to relax. And I said, nobody will talk to battalion headquarters that we have come back. No radio set will be opened. But suddenly I realized, yeah, on the contrary of coming late in the night or darkness, the gentlemen come in the daylight. That's the morning hours. That means something is suspicious. The most important thing, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, in war is your intelligence. If you don't have a worthwhile intelligence, it's a futile. You go and start operating. Then I called him. I said, tell me what? He said, sir, there are 3 militants. 3 are inside and 1 is sitting outside as a sentry. They are planning something. 1 is gone out to fetch food for them. We had no maps, unfortunately. It is almost 1.5 years. We have made our handmade maps. While my village I used to play in childhood, young boys and girls, we used to play how much can you walk blindfolded. So I had made maps and every house and corner, it was semi-built up area, jungle area. That house, when I saw the house in my map, it was marked 13. Very unlucky number for us. So then I worked out something and then I spoke to my commanding officer, sir, this is the information. The place is almost 12 kilometers from my area, my post. I am not feeling well, I am totally tired. If you permit me to go in a vehicle, I'll go and raid it. Walking, I'll not be able to go. Contrary to orders on Sri Lanka, you cannot move on vehicles because it's total IDs, mines are. Maybe I'm lucky that way, and enemy was unlucky. I was told by boss, okay, you can use the vehicle, but tell me your plan. He said, I'm coming forward, my forward post. So we just took the Koila and in the cemented area, I drawn the map. This is how we are planning. My intimate knowledge of that area was the asset to me. I knew that area backwards. I knew that house got 2 gates, one a wicket gate, one the small vehicle gate. So we started in a RCL and a jeep and a 1-tonner move. When I asked the 1-tonner driver, do you know the route? Sitting in the vehicle, he says, no sir, I don't know. I said, you go along whichever route you are going. So the operation was other way around. Almost 60 kilometers from the house, we dismounted from the vehicle and the enemy started firing on us. So as per the drill, the outer cordon was laid and the inner cordon, raiding party with me and my Tamil interpreter and a radio set. I always used to move only in 2 because in case of casualty, you should not give a bigger target to enemy. That was a lesson learned in Sri Lanka. So the sentry at the gate was eliminated by us. And then in a spur of moment, in war you should not be logical. I don't know what has happened. I just rushed inside the house because other militant rushed inside the house. And that spur of moment, I also entered the house and fired at him. Good for me. I could fire before him. Whosoever fired first, he is the survivor. And I could not see any other militant. I came out, I told, now search the house. I'll go to the next room. I went to the next room. That's the time my interpreter came out. He said, one more militant is inside. I said, are you sure? I said, go. He said, sir, main andar nahi jaunga. Now, initially I went inside, this time, I said, yaar, ab main bhi andar nahi jaunga. Then what to do? We cautioned the militant, we fired the hand grenades, bullets fired, and after 3-4 minutes of this hand fight, we could get him. A third militant, he ran out. We killed him also. And the best part of this operation, unique operation in Sri Lanka, it was a daytime raid at about 11:30 in the morning, daytime raid in enemy hideout, and we killed all of them. My commanding officer said, "Inki body ko leke aa jao." So we put them in a vehicle, brought them to battalion headquarters. 100% casualties on enemy side, no casualty, nothing other than I got some bruises, nothing on our side. It was one of the successful operations in Sri Lanka, which was a daytime raid in LTT hideout. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier Bisht, for a very, very brave act, and you narrated it so beautifully. You know, we are just running short of time, but I think valor needs some time. Colonel DPK Pillai, 8 guards at that time, he's got Shaurya Chakra, he's wearing medals, miniature medals on his chest. Another medal that he's wearing from my side, the second medal, is a wound medal. If you get, just point out, he's wearing a wound medal. So when we were doing, as we spoke about Siachen, then we started Sri Lanka, we had 57 Division, which was expert in jungle warfare. We picked up that division and launched in Sri Lanka, while the operations in the northeast continued. And that is where Colonel Pillai had an encounter in Manipur with the NSCN IM group. And he will explain in the same sequence how the Indian Army has been fighting all over every cardinal direction. Colonel Pillai, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you to Value of Words, also Dr. Sanjeev Chopra and Mrs. Rashmi and all the organizers for getting me here and sharing the stage with such distinguished people and to be with you all. You know, it reminds me of my time as a young boy when I wanted to join the army way back in 1984 when I joined the NDA. It was just like you all in NCC uniforms, and it's a very different India that we lived in, you know. So before I explain my encounter and to explain why I would rather allow myself to be not evacuated and save the lives of children, you must know what made me join the army. I joined the army not because I hated we were in an insurgency campaign, we were against our own citizens, like an idea that we have from 1947, sir explained to you that we have been constantly at war, we had enemies on our border, and we had enemies who worked inside our country, who tried to get our people against us. So we always knew when we are in insurgency, whether it's in Kashmir, Punjab, Manipur, Nagaland, Assam, that we are fighting against our own people. And we can never hate the people that we fight against. We take up our arms because we love our country, we love the diversity that this festival celebrates, we loved our multicultural country, we love everything that is there. That's why my father, my grandfather, and we all joined the armed forces to protect what we all value. So when I went into that encounter, there was these 2 young children who were wounded. There was no way, General Pannu had explained, and this is the place, Dehradun. In IMA, we have our ethos there, which is mentioned, the safety, honor, welfare of your country and countrymen come first always and every time. And that's why when I saw those 2 young children who were wounded in the crossfire in an encounter in which they had no role to play, I had nothing better to do, as I would, like any other officer of the army or any other soldier would do, is to insist on their evacuation and their protection. And that's why, and what has happened in the end is that we did what we were supposed to do. We followed the law of the land. That's what General Pannu said, where we gave back 93,000 prisoners of war, which was captured by us in Bangladesh. We treated them with a lot of dignity and humanity, and we gave them back. And that's the same way we treat all our, those people who surrender. I think that's what we've been taught in the army. We treated the soldiers, insurgents who were there, we treated them with dignity, that we would, any fighting, because we don't take our enmity beyond the boxing ring. It's like we are taught in the academy, what happens in the ring stays in the ring. It was well fought, right? The encounter was over. And many years later, the villagers called me back, remembering that encounter, remembering that 2 children were saved here, remembering that I almost lost my life because I had 4 bullets in my chest. But yes, I allowed those. So they called me and made me an honorary member of that village. Today I've retired, I go back there and work. For me, I feel very proud to be in this country, to be an Indian, to see where our country is. What I grew up in 1980s, 70s, India is so different from the India that we are in. It's all grown in strength, and I'm very proud to be be an Indian, and I'm willing to join the army once again and become a soldier again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Pillai. So beautifully explained about your sentiments of joining the army and your operation. And we continue. I think India is on the move, and we are continuing to fight our own challenges and battles. May I request General Gurung to please conclude our today's discussion.
Thank you, General Pannu. See, all I'll say is that, military history is replete with tales of valor, grit, courage, josh, junoon, jazba, जैसे कहते हैं. And I'm sure you all would have heard of the Battle of Saragadi, fought on the 12th of September, 1897, in then northwest frontier province, that is towards North Pakistan. And how 21 soldiers of a Sikh battalion contested against 12,000 Afghan rebels. Now, the Battle of Saragadi is considered to be one of the best stands in the annals of military history. And that, I think, is a very, very proud thing for us to remember. The battalion is nowadays known as 4th Battalion, the Sikh Regiment. Those 21 soldiers that fought the 12,000 Afghan rebels were all awarded the Indian Order of Merit, which those days was equal to the Victoria Cross, because the Victoria Cross was had not been instituted at that time. So this battalion still boasts, and rightfully so, of 21 Victoria Crosses that they won in the Battle of Saragadi. Now, that is an example of valor, That is what I want the NCC cadets and the school kids who are sitting in the back to try and remember. If you want to get into the army or into the defense services, you have to remember this. Unless you have the motivation, unless you have the jazba, unless you have the junoon, you cannot serve in the army. The army, if at all, whenever you choose your careers, whenever you list out your career options, the defense services have to be topmost. Then only can you or are able to serve better in the defense services. Otherwise, there will be a problem for you. If you list the defense services as your third or fourth choice, कि पहले मैं IIT करूँगा, पहले मैं IIM try करूँगा, फिर नहीं हुआ तो then I'll get into the defense services. Then I think you'll be a loser. The right way, like I said, is to make the defense services your first option and keep your motivation high. Success does not come occasionally. Just remember that. Success will come if you perform consistently. Just remember that and keep at it and give the defense services a shot as your first option. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Gurung, for a very lovely conclusion. I would say when we celebrate diversity, we are celebrating valor in diversity. कोई सिख, कोई जाट मराठा, कोई गुरखा, कोई मद्रासी, सरहद पे मरने वाला, हर खून था हिंदुस्तानी. Thank you, value of words. Jai Hind.
आसान नहीं है फौजी कहलाना, आसान नहीं है फौजी कहलाना, दोस्त जज्बातों को पिघलाकर रगों में लोहा भरना पड़ता है. The living example of this is Lieutenant General Shakti Gurung, who lost his son. Give him a huge round of applause. He's sitting here and discussing and narrating the war histories. Brigadier Gurung. It was really thrilling to listen the war stories. NCC cadets read war histories as a part of their syllabus. And here we have wartime heroes who narrated their incidences right in front of you, how the enemy was standing and how, in spite of being wounded, they were there to protect their nation. Before we end this session, I would invite General Pannu to present the souvenir of this event, the Literature Festival. General Pannu, event. Lieutenant General Shakti Gurung. Thank you, Brigadier. Thank you, General Gurung. Brigadier Gurung. It was really giving me goosebumps. These war heroes were relating their stories of Siachen valor and Sri Lanka. Brigadier Bisht. and Colonel D.P.K. Pillai. Thank you, sir. No duty is more urgent than giving the vote of thanks, or returning the thanks. Thanks to all these war heroes, thanks to all those our soldiers who are standing there, guarding our nation and giving us peaceful nights and peaceful days. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.